What is up, guys? Welcome to a new video. So of course, as normal, I've been installing Korea since the new patch to find some picks that are doing a lot better, and it really seems they have jumped on the lethality hype train after the buffs. Let me know what you think of these ones, but let's jump straight into it, and I've picked out more than I normally would for this one as well. So Talon is absolutely suddenly crushing Korean solo queue this patch. He has the highest win rate top and mid lane. This is what I mean by lethality has kind of taken over. Ghostblade, Edge of Night, Black Cleaver, and Dustblade are the four most popular items on Talon right now, and they're all really good. The thing is, you have the Ghostblade mobility, right, plus your wall jumps together, which is great. You have the spell shield and the diving in part. Then you have the Dustblade and your ultimate stealth for the reset on the true damage. All of them work on Talon really well, and you're not even that bad late game, but early game you are a monster. You can win your lane with damage and then you just roam. This is mobility boots Talon once again in Korea, so it's the cheese aggressive special. What I'm going to try and do this video, let me know what you actually think of it, is I'm going to talk about why the pick is so good. I'm going to talk about the matchup so you kind of have a good idea there, and also what's different between Korea and here. So moving on to matchups, Talon is dumpstering mages at the moment. There's just too much damage early. Corki and Jayce are the only ones beating him consistently. Ryze, Orianna, Katarina are getting absolutely demolished in Korea by him mid lane though. Top lane is basically just Jayce and Maokai that have a good matchup against him. He is ruining Poppy, Yasuo, and Gangplank at the moment really hard. He's even doing well against Darius and Riven, which I didn't expect. The biggest difference to here is actually the Talon's late game is much better in Korea. No joke, Talon top lane in Korea has the highest win rate past 35-minute games, but in Europe West he has one of the worst. Talon is a really good split pusher because of how much damage he builds if it gets late, but he's also a good team fighter as long as you play him like a Kha'Zix or a Rengar. Your job is to really run around and kill people alone or pick them out of fights at like the back or something. You don't just dive in with your ultimate first. Let's move on to Draven, who's actually getting better and better each day right now in Korea. Ghostblade has become more core on him. Stat websites are catching up, but over time I think he's going to show us even better than he is now, even though already he's almost at a 54% win rate, which is really high. So most either do the Korean build, which we talked about the other day, which is Ghostblade into Black Cleaver and then attack speed item like Phantom Dancer or Rapid Fire Cannon. That shreds tanks and squishy targets super hard, but it's a lot of early damage at least. If they don't go for that, they go Bloodthirster first into attack speed or Ghostblade and then Infinity Edge afterwards third. They basically play much more for the lane phase than we do, and that is the biggest difference. They dominate fast games. If you're a better player, it really shows. You also have good synergy as well with Malzahar, Zarya, and Blitzcrank, who are some of the most popular supports in Korea and some of the best at the moment. They crowd control people for free ultimates and while you go nuts on them. Matchup wise, Misfortune is the hardest one for him with all that AoE damage. You just can't even get close. You're going to get wrecked in team fights, and Varus actually as well with the ultimate lockdown. Against any of the other ADs, he can bully them pretty easily early and do pretty well actually, but he's just more of a snowball pick in general and a solo carry pick, I guess is a good way to put it. They build and they play much more for lane dominance rather than a big late game crit like we tend to. I actually think Draven is very good everywhere at the moment. He's definitely underrated for sure. Let's go into a couple of low elo picks. So these are specific to bronze, silver, and gold at the moment. They work higher up, but they are crushing it at the moment in those lower brackets. Jayce is the first one, and this is for both mid and top, by the way. I expect this is going to catch on big time over here in the next week or so for mid lane. We all know that Jayce is strong anyway, right? Ghostblade, Black Cleaver, and either Moorman Mortius or Last Whisper seems to be the core every single game in Korea actually. It's definitely more of a snowball pick. They play him like an assassin, to be honest. It's nuts watching them actually. They get a lead in the lane phase, which is not that hard to do with his damage and range form, and then they roam to one-shot people down. They jump in with their hammer form, which is insane burst, and that is what they play around. He's actually one of the only champions mid lane to beat Corki consistently as well, which is definitely why he's showing up as so good. He's also good versus mages though. He basically powers up before they get a chance to. Maokai and other tanks really outscale him, which is kind of where one of his problems is. That's why he loses, because the front line is too big for him to kill and the CC locks him down. Other carry matchups, he pokes out in lane, he bursts afterwards, so that's fine, but we don't really do anything that much different over here except we barely play in mid lane. There's a lot less roaming though, and a Black Cleaver rush is popular over here, but in my opinion that's going to delay your power a little bit. It's more lane focus. That's not what you want to do. You get a lead, you get your Ghostblade, and you sprint into other lanes with your gate to slam them down. That's kind of how you want to play Jayce really. So the other low elo pick is Corki, the new Korean hot pick, which is good at higher elo by destroying lower ranks actually, like a top 2 or 3 win rate at the moment along with Jayce. The burst is so high on mid Corki at the moment, nobody can really fight you, especially not after you get Triforce, and the big thing is they don't expect it. You get a free roam with your package, you can impact other lanes, and honestly I don't think you fall off as hard as you used to when super tanks are not everywhere this patch. If you run exhaust, you farm well, which is really easy with your passive, by the way. Another reason why it's so good at lower ranks. You poke with your rockets that hurt a ton, you burst when they get close. Like, it's really hard to play against him, but it's quite easy to play him. You do pretty well against most mages right now, even though Twisted Fate can match your roams, and REZ Jayce will probably kill you in the lane phase if you don't roam a lot. One of the biggest differences is there is no Gunblade in Korea anymore really. It was something I mentioned they did and we didn't a month ago, but now they've stopped. Hexdrinker Mormran Mortius is so overpowered against mages you have no idea. They basically cannot kill you unless you really fuck it up. Like, you're gonna have to try to die when you buy a Mormran Mortius against a mage, but Trinity Force, Infinity Edge, Rapid Fire Cannon are gonna be your core with a more. I'm not gonna spend too much time on that one because I think it's kind of obvious, but Wukong is very similar to Corki and Jayce in that he's good at lower ranks, but he's also higher up as well. So he's probably the most underrated pick out there for now. Lethality did help a lot. Actually, his core items are all very good right now. Ghostblade, Black Cleaver, then Dustblade or more or Sterix. They're all quite powerful items. Lethality is going to be the reason he spiked up more though, I think, because Ghostblade and Dustblade, Edge of Night are all really good items on him and give him a stupid amount of burst damage, but that is what he's building right now. This is a boost and mobility cheese strat just like Talon. You get Ghostblade, you roam mid, you roam bot, you go invisible, you Ghostblade with Mobies, and suddenly you're up their ass before they even know it. I think this will be a really good low elo pick everywhere, to be honest. You have very high damage, it's surprise damage, and you have really good carry potential. The biggest problem for Wukong though is getting outscaled to a point where they can survive your burst damage. So Maokai, Poppy, Gangplank even are a problem for him just because of that. You do well though versus other carry laners. Even if you lose lane, you roam, so it doesn't really actually matter that much. The mobility boost like roaming style of play is much different to how we play Wukong though. Interestingly, it's basically the opposite over there to how it is here. We play Wukong for late game more than anything else. We actually wait to power up and then we have massive team fights with him to win late game. That is really different to how Koreans try to roam and just burst before you have to rely on your teammates. They basically just want to card carry themselves. The next one is very similar to this actually. I haven't talked about Pantheon for ages, but he spiked up this patch again mainly because of the lethality changes. Ghostblade and Edge of Night are really good items on him, and surprisingly his late game is not as dog poo as it used to be either. He's definitely best top lane I think, but he's okay in the jungle, pretty good in mid lane as well actually. He's just the like ultimate snowball pick which loves to roam around and get a ton of kills. That's why they always take Ignite by the way and not TP. Matchup wise, Jayce seems to be the only champion who can match his damage in the lane phase. Otherwise you're looking at a pretty easy time in theory, at least without some jungle pressure. Their playstyle is a little different though, so we barely see him here to be honest, but they are so ham. Like, they have no off switch when they play Pantheon. It is a race to end the game. They go top, they push it into their tower, and then they base and they roam, and that way you have literally no idea where they're going to go and use their ult. It's actually very clever because if you leave top lane and you run down, you're most likely going to have to ult mid lane. You're not in range of bot lane, right? But if you base first, and you can ult to either lane and no one really knows where. Honestly, this is such an easy pick to play. You win lane with a crap ton of damage, you roam all game, and you don't stop until the game is over. So let's move on to Jack's jungle, and this guy has a top 5 win rate at higher ranks so far this patch. A mid-game beast jungler who can solo carry. That's why you pick him basically. This is a pick for those of you who are probably a little bit less aggressive early. You kind of want to farm and just to be able to carry mid-game hard, like kind of like the old Shyvana actually. You can still gank, you have your leap and your counter-strike stun, but you won't keep up with the Kha'Zix or a Rengar or a Lee Sin, so you have to be careful they don't counter gank you. Really, you are designed to scale with items, so the mid-game is where you shine with Blood Razor, Triforce, and Gunblade or defense. Surprisingly though, there aren't really any bad matchups. Even Rengar and Kha'Zix are pretty close win rate wise at least. What you'll find is that some games you get demolished or your team does and there's nothing you can really do. You kind of have to chalk that up to an unlucky game, but most games where there isn't that much action or it's even, you're going to get your items and you will take over the game. For the different side, it's a bit different because it's probably region or playstyle difference, I guess. Actually, Korea plays every champion more aggressively early, so that is the big change. Right now, Jack's jungle has a decent win rate mid game, but awful early over here because we try to hard farm. Ideally, what we want to do is at least try gank a little bit. We put too much time into late game and not enough energy into the early game, and that's also why Korea takes Stun Lords to do a bit more damage and a bit more burst early. This one's a little bit different. I know you're seeing some Rengar footage, you're probably like, well, we all know that Rengar is really busted in the jungle at the moment, and it's no different in Korea, but top lane Rengar is also beasting it over there, and that is a bit different. Rengar typically has like the worst lane phase ever, which is why he never goes top lane, but apparently that does not matter anymore. He is that strong. It's a really ham lethality build with Dustblade actually. That's the way it's working over there at the moment. Ghostblade, Black Cleaver, Dustblade, and Edge of Night. That is way too much damage to deal with, and it crushes the AD carry hardcore, which really feels bad. Watching some replays where he runs around and like one-shots the AD carry and support together, it's actually really bad, but even somehow he's beating Jayce right now in the lane phase. Pantheon and Maokai are the only ones who are managing to beat him consistently. Your damage and your roaming combined is just too hard to keep up with basically. Over here, we tend to play like an off-tank Rengar version. Black Cleaver, Mormran Mortius, Deadmans. Now, we don't see them as much on top lane Rengar at all in Korea. It's all about the one-shot and the hard carry. They also do a very similar thing to Pantheon. They try to win the lane, which is not even that hard with his Q now. It's just so much damage, and regardless if they win or lose, they push and they roam to other lanes with his ultimate. The whole idea of this pick is it's basically like having a second jungler gank you every time his ult is up, which actually sucks ass to play against. So hope you guys enjoyed this video and my my picks. There were actually loads this patch which I could have gone into, like a Carly top lane and mid lane actually are both doing really well. Zigzag carry has finally become a thing over there. Annie mid and Aurelion Soul mid are both doing a lot better this patch for some reason. I didn't really want to make this video too long though. I gave you the best ones that I could find at the moment and how to play them. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think, but for now, let's go to the robots.